Have you back on the show. It's been a minute since we've talked, and I could not be more excited about the reason for our conversation. We got new music on the horizon, dude. I'm so thrilled.
You're as excited as I am, it sounds like. I'm pretty excited as well. It's been quite the process doing this new record. It's been really exciting every step of the way. So I'm stoked to be here, stoked that you're having me on, and excited to talk about it.
Nice. Fantastic. Now, how long has it been since you guys launched the Pledge Music campaign till the time the album drops? Which by the time people hear this, the album will be out. So if you're confused by any other banter later, the album is out now if you're listening to this interview. But how long was it between announcing the album, raising funds for the record, and then the album dropping?
It was a little over a year.
Okay.
A short amount over a year, and it was intentionally that long. And I'm assuming that you have some other questions tied into that, so maybe I can save the explanation for the next round of questions.
Well, that's a good assumption, but you know what? I don't even care. I want to know. I want to know what took so long and why it was purposefully so long. So, I mean, feel free to jump right into that, man.
So this ties into our strategy, I guess, or our campaign with Pledge Music that we did. So this is the third time around that we've done quote unquote crowdfund for an album. And this being our 10th album to celebrate 20 years of the band, we definitely wanted to do something special. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that we did is we made a 5-song EP available for everybody who would pledge. And that was cover material. We did Beastie Boys' Sabotage, and we did a song by Soundgarden, a song by Fugazi, a couple other songs, pretty eclectic mix of tracks. But that EP is and was available to everybody who was a part of the Pledge campaign, even at the lowest level, and they get those songs for basically for free up front to download. Essentially, the flaw in the crowdfund model that has been demonstrated by endless bands at this point is you pay your money up front, right, for a pre-order or, you know, a pledge or whatever, and you're basically saying, here's some of my money, and I'm not going to get anything for a long time, a year, 2 years, whatever, however long it takes to like make the record and get it produced and get it out, etc. We have sort of seen that is the big flaw in the crowdfund model from the fan perspective. So we thought about the idea of, well, how can we do this so that everybody feels like A, they're completely a part of the process from the very beginning, B, like they're getting rewarded for pledging from the beginning and throughout the whole thing, and C, that it sort of builds, and then when people finally get the music, it's not like they feel like totally disconnected and that they spent all this money for nothing for like a year or 2 years, and then it just sort of magically shows up. And so I put a lot of thought personally into designing this thing a little bit different than the way that other bands were doing it, and the way different than the way that we had done it previously. So essentially we recorded one song at a time, wrote and recorded one song at a time. So our album is 10 songs, but it's basically 10 singles that people get to be a part of and listen to and get rewarded with essentially every month of the campaign. Now, we've had a few extra months in there because I lost my voice after our 20th anniversary tour. For about 2 months, I had to be on vocal rest and I couldn't do anything. So we lost a little time in the middle, but thankfully my voice came back completely, and, you know, the record came off without a hitch, etc. But we found that doing it this way, and I was very aggressive about doing updates as well. So I did kind of an oral history, and we've gotten up through Drawing Black Lines at this point. I'm still going to be doing this for the next, you know, couple months at least, so that people feel like, oh, when the album's out, it's not the end of the campaign. Well, you're still getting updates, you're still getting, you know, lots of content, you know, throughout the life of the record, not just the inception of the record. So we've done, about 100 updates along the way, a lot of interaction on the comments. You know, I let people see the album art as I did it, and I did my own album art this time around for Project, which is the first time we've ever done that. So I've had a lot of people tell me that this is their favorite crowdfund they've ever been a part of or seen, just because it's been so interactive. And it genuinely has been that way. And I've approached it that way. Like, I'll wake up after a week goes by, I'm not doing an update. I was like, oh, those guys got to be getting antsy. Let me just tell them what's going on. And so, yeah, and the engagement has been consistent throughout for that reason. And it's been really successful. And it's really just kind of a new model, hopefully, that other bands can take part in or utilize for the way they approach their fans. Because anymore, it's not even just about it's obviously not about physical album sales. It's not even about digital album sales. I mean, everybody streams your record, and
Right.
you know, bands don't make any money on album streams, but that's the way everybody listens to music now. And so the other thought behind it is, okay, how can we reward the fans for supporting us and buying albums? You know what I mean? Buying the vinyl, buying the CD, you know, and I've really gone out of my way to do that on this record. And so for the 3,000 people or so that have engaged with us in this, they've made it very successful and, you know, have propelled our career into the next chapter.
Nice. Well, I have two questions about that. Number one, given the fact that you have created a slightly altered model from the typical crowdfunding expectation or the way it's been done, which requires honestly a lot more work from you. I mean, you're having to do all of these updates, and then even stuff like doing your own album art. I mean, that's more time. Doing one song from start to finish, it seems like that in a way would be almost more difficult than just writing a whole slew of songs and going and recording the whole slew of songs. All that being said, the album's obviously finished and done, and at the time that we're talking, it's just about to come out. But given all of the things that you've had to do extra to make this be what it is, would you do it again? I mean, would this be something that you'd want to endure again?
Ask me in 2 months after we've shipped out all this stuff, because we're doing everything in-house.
Right.
So I didn't hire a fulfillment company to screw up all of our orders and, you know, have 20% of our fans not get their CDs.
Right.
If 20% of the fans don't get their CDs or their stuff, they're going to hit us up directly.
Right.
But the good news is we can be in charge of rectifying it as well. So,
right.
Not saying that's going to happen. That's one of the reasons why we are doing everything in-house, is because at least when you're in control of it, it gets done right.
Tis true. Now, you're saying doing everything in-house and fulfilling all these things. Now, tell people what they're hearing in the background on your end right now.
I am autographing CDs in the background.
See, my friends, that is rock and roll right there.
It's something. I'll tell you that. If you could see the pile of CDs in front of me, anyone who's aspiring to be an artist, and if they could see what I'm doing right now, they would be like, what? I definitely am going to second guess my career options at this point.
Oh, that's great. Well, dude, I am both impressed and I feel bad for you all at the same time. But I guess it's a good problem to have, though. I mean, because let's face it, I mean, there are enough fans who wanted to go through that effort and take this journey with you to make there be that many CDs to need to get signed.
And that's what I keep telling myself every hour on the hour.
Well, so break it down for us. I mean, about how long would you say it takes for you to sign, say, 100 CDs?
It's like 30 minutes.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's really, the signing isn't that bad. It's the, you know, open, close the CD process.
Right.
On the last album, we had a pretty good assembly line going.
Yeah.
The timing worked out that we were on the road when we did it, so we had like a bunch of people at the venue we were playing help us. So we were able to get them all signed within like a couple of hours, really.
Wow.
Because it was such like an assembly line. You know, the one person would take the shrink wrap off, the next person would take the CD out, and then they would hand it to the band members, hand it down the line, and then another person would reassemble it and put it back in the box. And so we don't have that this time around. I have each guy signing it separately, so it's like taking a lot longer.
Yeah, I dare say. Well, that does kind of lead into my next question. Who all are the players on this record? Because I know that can shift a little bit from record to record.
The majority of the album was written and recorded by myself,
Nice.
And Darren King, who plays guitar.
Okay.
Cody Driggers is a longtime bass player. He's been playing with me for 8 or 9 years now. He's involved. And then Abhishek Collinsworth, who's been playing drums for me for a couple of years now. He's been in some other bands. He plays in Wolves at the Gate. He played drums on the album.
Nice. Very cool. So once you get all of this stuff sent out, you get to take a breath, at least for a little bit. I mean, like you said, there's still going to be some more stuff happening on the back end, even though the album is out, not only with fulfillments, but putting up new content and that sort of thing. But aside from that, what comes next after Sheep Among Wolves is more or less done?
Man, I can't think that far ahead at this point because we're just on the front end of all the fulfillment stuff.
Right.
And it's going to take a while. It's just going to take a while. I mean, the next round after this is the vinyl because that takes a while to produce.
Right.
Just vinyl in general is slow.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a while till this is done. So I don't imagine we're wrapping this thing up for a little while still.
Okay.
But, you know, we're going to do shows next year. We're working on a lot of different things in terms of touring. And then we'll see how the fans react to this album. We're going to shoot a music video probably in January. I'm going to kind of stretch out a lot of the video and content and singles and releases and all that stuff as long as I can to try to keep people engaged. It's not just about the release date. You know what I mean?
Right. I hear that. Cool. So now, with this album being done a song at a time, how do you think that changed the overall sound of the record?
I mean, hopefully it translated into each song getting the same amount of love and effort. So therefore, like a stronger album from front to back, from song to song, right? And so every album has its album tracks, you know, especially when you do all the songs at once. It's like certain songs get more love than others. Well, we were forced to not approach it that way. So the other thing is, it's like you get some space to live with the music for a while. And so if there's any parts that you want to change, like you have the opportunity to do it. And so there thankfully wasn't a ton of that going on, but I felt really strongly about the finished versions of the songs that we ended up with right from the beginning. There was very minimal in terms of changes, but still having that cushion to be able to go back and do whatever changes you want to make, that's a good freedom in doing it this way.
Yeah, for sure. And I can understand how that would be. I can understand that. Is there a favorite standout song for you at this point? I mean, I know that they're all your babies, but is there one that you're just really excited about?
Track 1, I'm being told by a lot of people, is one of the top 5 songs that we've ever written, MHS. It's really brutally heavy, but it's a good jam. I feel like that's one of the songs that's going to stand the test of time for the band. There are several standout tracks for sure. The title track to the record, Sheep Among Wolves, is really cool. It's a cool lyric, paints some really interesting pictures. And I just think it's really catchy. So those are 2 I really dig. I think after that, probably my favorites are Copper Wish by Constantine and Freebooter, which is the song that you're going to play soon, correct?
Yes, we are going to play Freebooter and not Freeloader, as I mistakenly called it before we started recording.
I mean, admittedly, your title is a better title than mine.
Well, I see. I have a hard time believing that, but that's okay. That's okay.
But wouldn't it be cool to have a song called Freeloader that's about every deadbeat relative that ever needed money or whatever that you've come across in your life?
Well, see, I think I'm that person. That's the problem.
So you're the bad uncle.
Yes, I am an uncle. And I think if there is a black sheep in my immediate family, it's probably me.
That's awesome. So you should have a really good personal attachment to this one.
Yeah, probably. So I'll be like, this song was written for me. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but it's written for me.
So, which lends me to my next question for you. Tell me the story about you rocking our Christmas song, Mr. Grinch, and what happened in your car the other day.
So I'm going to go pick up Chipotle. It's less than a half a mile away from my home. And I'm stopped at a stoplight. The light is red. I'm clicking through. I'm like, okay, I want to listen to Mr. Grinch by Project 86 because it's one of my favorites. And so I pop it on. I'm sitting there jamming. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get rear-ended from behind by a Hyundai, and I'm all sorts of bent out of shape about it. So I'm not going to repeat what I said in the moment, but I was not happy. And so me, the 300-pound bald guy, gets out of the car. I don't think I look angry, but the girl who was in the car that hit me was by herself, looked to be about maybe late 20s or early 30s, and maybe weighed $120 at best. I mean, and I don't even want to know what she was thinking was about to happen, but she could not have been very secure in her position at the moment. So yeah. I get out, I look at my bumper. There's really nothing bad. I mean, there's like a teeny tiny scratch, essentially. I mean, there really wasn't much else. I go and I make sure the doors are unlocked to make sure the hatch will open and close. no damage. And so then I tell her she's okay, and she just kind of looks at me nervously and goes, okay. And I'm like, it's like part of me is like, I should call the cops, and the other part of me is thinking my Chipotle's getting cold. You got to have priorities in life, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it could have been worse.
This is true. It
could have been worse, but it did ruin Mr. Grinch for you.
Yeah. See, now the only other song that I can think of that has been ruined in a similar way was a song called Immune by Soul Embrace that I was listening to when I got a ticket in Arlington, Texas. And the worst part about it was I got a ticket driving back home from Abilene, Texas to Houston to take care of another ticket. So I was like doubly mad. And I felt like I was going with the flow of traffic. I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong, and I get pulled over. And the officer and I were just not having the same conversation because he was telling me how fast I was going, and I was saying, yes, I believe you, but so was everybody else. And he didn't take that as an excuse. So, yeah. And to make matters even worse, my mom calls to check and see how my trip is going. I said, I just got pulled over. I don't want to talk about it. And to which she said, okay.
Dang.
So, yeah. But anyway, I luckily, though, there was, like I said, no permanent damage on that. But I may have a little PTSD flashback about it just for a little bit. But by next year, I'm sure I'll be fine.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, dear. Well, hey, before we get too much further, up to this point, there pretty much has been a Christmas song that has come out almost every year for the past, 4 years. I'm guessing that this is going to be the cheat year where we're not going to do that. Am I right?
Well, it's interesting. I had an idea today, and I'm going to roll with this.
All right.
So we've been adding to this Christmas album every year that started out as an EP and has become an album. And as of last year, we had 9 songs. And I was going through the last couple of albums, and I realized a lot of people didn't get very exposed to the special edition version of Knives to the Future, which contain an extra EP as well of 4 acoustic songs or stripped back, more chill songs.
Right.
And there's a song that I wrote on that EP that really is a Christmas song.
Okay.
It's about having a snowball fight, basically. And I don't know why I never thought of this, but I looked at it and I was like, man, I bet a lot of people haven't heard this song. It's a really cool song. I love this song a lot, and a lot of people haven't heard it. I think when we're doing our marketing this year for Christmas and just telling people about the Christmas album, this would make a great track 10.
Right. Because
a lot of people haven't heard it. And it also rounds out, obviously the amount of songs on that record. So I could say we have a full Christmas album. Although it's not a brand new song, the song In Trenches, I feel like a lot of people haven't heard it. Yes and no. Do you get new Christmas music this year?
Fair enough. Well, I mean, you are dropping a brand new record that you spent a year working on. I think we can forgive this kind of technicality that you've got going here. I think it'll be okay.
Yes, and we are also doing an insane deal on our website as of this, the playing of this recording. We will be giving away, just for the holiday season, a free copy of our Christmas album to people who buy the new record.
Nice.
The deal is you get it for one price if you get it digitally from us, from our digital store on our website at project86.com. I think the price is probably going to end up being $12,
right?
But you're going to get 20 songs.
Wow.
And then if you buy the CD, it'll end up being $20 including shipping. And it'll be autographed, but you'll also get the 10-song Christmas album.
Nice.
So that's going to be $20, 20 songs, including shipping and a CD, and all the CDs will be autographed.
Nice.
If you visit us at project86.com, you can get either of those deals, and we'll have the details on that when you arrive at the website on the first thing on the splash page.
Right.
Finally, if you buy it from iTunes or somewhere else, again, before Christmas, we'll also give you basically 5 songs from the Christmas album as well.
Okay,
so
cool.
You get half of it if you buy it from somewhere else.
Gotcha. Cool.
So, and people who stream the album get nothing.
Yeah,
that's
you
on
freeboater.
Spotify. freeloader. That's Spotify and Apple Music listeners.
Yeah.
And then people who listen to it on YouTube will get me showing up on their doorstep in a Santa suit with a machete.
Well, dude, I couldn't ask for a better transition than that statement right there. Yesterday, I had on the phone with me to do an interview one person who I think you might have met at some point in your life named Aaron Sprinkle. And I said,
Yeah.
Aaron, I'm going to talk with Andrew Schwab from Project 86 very soon. What should I ask him? And he told me to ask you two things, although the first one he kind of walked back a little bit, but I'm going to ask you that question anyway because I think it's funny. He wants to know why it is that you scare people so much.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think because playing music for a living is so inherently terrifying for me that's my one moment on stage to be able to, reflect that back in a sense and just sort of embody everything that goes into doing music for a living
right
as an adult. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know how to answer that, man, because I'm in my skin. I don't walk up there on stage going, how am I going to scare everyone? I just go up there going, how do I have fun and put on a show for these people? You know what I mean?
Well, see, I gave him an answer and it was similar to yours, but I worded mine slightly differently. I said that the reason why people get scared of you is because of your "I'm going to eat your face" stare that you have when you're performing. But it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's part of what I love about you, So I mean, it's all good. It's all good. The other question he wanted to know might be slightly more awkward. I'm just going to warn you. His other question was, why haven't you called him recently?
Oh my gosh, because I don't have his phone number.
He gave me full permission to rectify that problem if it was a problem.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to get in touch with him. I haven't talked to that dude in ages. Sure, man. Yeah. Off air. Give me the dude's phone number. I'll text him.
Yeah, we also discussed that. He goes, but just don't do it on air. I'm like, no, I don't think I would ever get another interview in my life if I did that. So yes, well, cool. Well, that makes me happy, man. I feel like I've just reunited old buddies, and that makes me smile.
Well, yeah, and he probably thinks that I won't get in touch with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, as soon as you give me his number, I'll shoot him a text, and I'll say, "Hey, man, Paul told me to reach out to you."
Tag, you're it. Oh man, that's fantastic. Well, I'm very happy, man, right now. Oh dear. Well, dude, is there anything else that you want to throw out there about the new record, which of course is called Sheep Among Wolves? If you're just tuning in, it's brand new Project 86 record. Anything else that you want to let people know about to either admonish them into checking it out or just giving them more info that they might be interested in?
Yeah, definitely. Real quick. Obviously visit us at project86.com if you want to get the record on CD. The CD and the vinyl are not available in stores, so you'll have to buy it from us if you want to get a physical copy. Digitally, it's available wherever music is sold. Again, take us up on our deal to get a full album worth of Christmas music for a really good price, just for buying the new record. Again, project86.com. The details will be there. As far as the album in general, the title, Sheep Among Wolves, is kind of a play on the sheep and the wolf sort of cliches that we've heard so many times, like the wolf in sheep's clothing, etc. In the album art, again, which I'm proud of, and it's the first time I've ever done it myself over the years. Become a pretty active graphic designer in recent history, and so it was really fun for me to be able to hire myself. But
nice.
So the album art essentially addresses the question, who's the sheep and who's the wolf, because we all have skin or masks that we wear, right? And sometimes in our everyday lives, in Christian culture, in pop culture, etc., the line between who's the sheep and who's the wolf can be a little blurry. So a lot of the songs deal with questions of loyalty and trust. I feel like really explored this idea of trust and betrayal in a really unique way and from different angles. on this album. It's not necessarily a concept album, so every song doesn't address this idea. But yeah, it was very, very interesting and unique. Definitely a different thematic feel to the album, and also touched on some other interesting issues lyrically on the album. One song that's my favorite has a lot of quotes from Dante's Inferno, and it's just the idea that sometimes you have to go through hell to find heaven, because that's the journey of Dante's Inferno, and it's about trial. But it is kind of a literal journey through hell, this particular song. It's called By Constantine. And then there's another song that looks at kind of the transgender phenomenon and the plastic surgery phenomenon in our culture, just as an attempt, and in some ways a last-ditch attempt, because the suicide rate is so high in the transgender community, to find happiness or find some sense of solace in our own human skin. And what does that say about us, as human beings? And what does that say about us as a culture, that this is such a talking point and a widespread sort of phenomenon? And is it possible to find, peace and happiness in our own human bodies, in our skin, from external sources, essentially, or by changing our physical makeup in varying degrees? So yeah, it's a pretty diverse record in terms of sonics. There's some really hard-hitting, heavy stuff. There's also some very melodic songs, and I think there's something in there for everyone in terms of heavy and rock music fans.
I'm going to wrap this up with one final question, because I always try to ask this question nowadays, but you've been in a rock band for over 20 years. I mean, at this point, you've probably been in a band longer than you've not been in a band in your life. But with that being the case, what would you say is, at this point in your life, the most un-rock and roll thing about you?
The most un-rock and roll thing about me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think there's more un-rock and roll things about me than there are rock and roll things about me. That's for sure.
We'll pick one, and we'll save the other ones for another day.
I mean, I have children, and it doesn't get any less rock and roll than or maybe it is rock and roll. I don't know, because some things that are the opposite of rock and roll can be really rock and roll.
This is
true. It just depends on how you execute it. You know what I mean? But when I'm laying down next to my daughter and forcing her to allow me to read Harry Potter to her, I mean, that's pretty un-rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I can identify with that, man. There's few things more fulfilling than doing the dad thing.
Yeah, and it's also not that rock and roll.
Yes, this is also very true. Well, answer me this, especially for your daughter, who is not maybe not as into Harry Potter as maybe she should be. I'll say this. She's more into Harry Potter than she's into her dad's music. So how does she describe daddy's music?
She thinks it's scary. She doesn't understand why I have to yell all the time, and why is it so loud, and she doesn't like it or understand it, but she loves Fall Goliath Fall.
Interesting.
That's every 4 to 6 year old. They all love Fall Goliath Fall.
Do you think that's because there's such an easily understandable chorus or chant to it, and kids really like chanting?
I think it's threefold. I think one, it doesn't come off that hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not dark or scary or even too aggressive.
Right.
Two, I think it's got a really accessible beat to it.
Okay.
It moves really well. So it's kind of catchy, and it makes you want to jump around or dance or whatever.
Right.
Three, the chorus is obviously very singable and also catchy. And four, it's something you can pick up on immediately. You know what I mean? So any kid can sing it.
Nice. Very cool. Well, that's as good of an answer as I can come up with, dude. I love it. Sweet. And plus, it's one of my favorite ones, too. So, I mean, you can't falter for that.
No. It's a good jam. It is a really good jam. It's one of the best songs that my band has ever written.
Nice. Very cool, dude. Well, man, thank you so much for taking time out of signing CDs to be able to chat with us about the new record, and I hope that it does really well. I know it's already done some cool things on the front end of pre-sales and whatnot, but I hope it continues to do well, and we look forward to seeing you guys out on the road sometime in the future, man.
Thanks so much for your time, dude, and we'll speak again very soon.